and welcome to episode number 50. Today, Mom is going to share about how she used creativity and give you some ideas of how you can be a creative mom when you're mothering your children. So I'll turn it over to Mom to share today.
All right. Well, God is the master creator. And so oftentimes I would go to Him on how to adjust to maybe a big change in our life. And so you can always trust that God is involved. And He who has called you to be a mother, the Bible, you can apply that verse as, He who has called you, who also will do it. So He wants to be involved in your mothering and in your teaching of your children. Now, a lot of you across the nation, if you're in the United States, you have probably still have your children at home, and maybe they're doing some virtual learning from a teacher and from her home. And so it's kind of a different year for children, and so you don't have much control over what the teacher is teaching, but you can make the most of the rest of the day. And so we're going to talk about, just give some ideas there, and it might spur you to think about ways that you can make your day more interesting with your children and expand their horizons. So last month we talked about getting a fresh start and with your attitudes and perspective. And now we're going to be talking about preparing the soil of your home for with excitement that if God is bringing some change or disruption in your lives, He is able to make it profitable to your family. So He can make disruptions into learning opportunities, and He can turn trials into blessings. So let's look at some areas that are just normal attitudes that we need to have in order to be creative. We need to, besides looking to our Creator for ways to solve problems or respond to changes, don't lose sight of your most important things. When I was early on homeschooling our children, I would focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic and the subjects like that, and then I'd think, oh my goodness, I really want the most important thing for them to know God and to focus on His goodness and His creation. So I kind of swing back and forth. And you don't have to do one or the other. You can do both. So keep your sense of humor. Sometimes when you're teaching your children, it's easy just to focus on all the things that you need to teach them and respond to training and all that. So keep your sense of humor in the midst of all that. Children enjoy joyful parents and joyful teachers. So that's important. And also, don't compare your children to each other. Each of your children have different gifts and personalities. And so let them know that God made them that way for a purpose. And set reasonable goals for each child. You know where they're gifted or how they learn, and celebrate each accomplishment. Now we're just going to get into kind of touching on some things real quick, and this will just to inspire you to think about your home and things coming into your life. Some of examples of creative learning is, I think I told in an earlier episode way back near the beginning that it's easy to just kind of focus on the curriculum, but God sends interesting things and the children are delighted. Maybe it's snowing where you are, or maybe there's a beautiful rainbow outside, or one time we had a big turtle just show up in our front yard and we blocked off the patio and tried to put signs around, but just take what God sends and make the most of it. Also, unexpected family illnesses and events. So I was confined to bed for the last couple months, And so I was asking the Lord how to make the most of this time. Christy was a year and a half, and Aaron was turning 3, and so they were full of energy and needing mothering. So we just found ways to use that. I called in the 3 older children and said, you know, this is especially hard on Dad because he's working, and I'm not able to be up cooking and all that. So I want you to pick out areas that you can be an encouragement to Dad. And so each of the children, I gave them a list of character qualities and say, what things would you like to work on right now? And what things can you do to be an encouragement to Dad? And so they picked out those things and decided ways that they could grow in that character quality. And then I also said, what subjects would you really like to learn about right now? And so they made a list of that. It gave them some time to really focus on some areas of interest for them. And then they would come at the end of the day and tell me all that they had learned about those interests. And so I found it very profitable for them educationally. And each one of the children would take the toddler and 3-year-old outside for a little recess time. And so we found that, you know, instead of going backwards, the children went forwards, and that was so helpful. Also, if you're going to plan a vacation, make the most of that. You're going to enjoy new scenery and maybe visit relatives and all, but make the most of where you're going, talk ahead about it, plan going to some real natural features. The Grand Canyon, of course, would be a huge natural feature. The most of where you're going, study ahead on it. We talked earlier about the California Gold Rush, so we made that into a whole semester project of learning about that. And then I was home with the little ones, but my husband took the older ones and did a Gold Rush tour. And so you can plan vacations in a way that is not just time off for you and your husband, but it's also learning experiences. And then I also would encourage you to have your answer to prayer box. We've talked about this earlier, but that's really important. That's a very important box to me. I can go through it. That has clip art things, and I can tell the children what prayer God answered when we had a need, whether it was for wisdom or for protection or for provision. And so that's a wonderful thing, and to be able to go through and pull out one maybe every day and tell them, the younger children who may not have been old enough to remember at that time, how God has taken care of our family. Now, you might have some friends that have some special skills, maybe music ability or some artistic bent, or making things, cooking, and it would be great for you to invite them over for a dinner and then ask them if they would bring some of their things that they painted or drawn, or some music instruments, and they might just ignite a desire in your children's lives to want to pursue those interests themselves. So there's nothing like bringing somebody in and inspiring your friend inspiring your children to expand their interests and maybe point them in a direction where they would like to go. Now, if you have older children, current events can be used. We didn't have television in our home, but when there was a big event going on, we borrowed one of my parents' televisions so we could watch it, but we made it into a unit study, and you can do that. I don't think television on a daily basis is very helpful, but it's good if you have older children and you want to give some perspective and understanding of what's going on. Preparing for visitors and guests. Maybe you can invite a missionary over, and ahead of time you can tell your children where this person is serving in another country and what would you like to know about that country, and let each of the children choose a question that they could ask their visitor, and that would be helpful. Maybe just regular friends, guests come over, and maybe they have lived in another state or country. So that would be a nice way to get the children involved and interested in what that person thinks about this country or the other, where they used to be. And also ask them, if you have the missionary, we'll go back to that, ask them what they do on the mission field and what it's like and how it's different from America, but how they're able to spread the good news of Jesus. So those are some things that you can just kind of weave in and out of your life, and you might come up, this might just start you on a brainstorming thing about how you can do more creative things tucked into your day without having to go to a lot of trouble, and it'll just make it nice. We talked in an early episode about our Good Morning 5 and all, but and it's good to have those routines, to have a day starting orderly, but it's also fun for children to have some creative activities and events to, like I said at the beginning, expand their horizon.
All right, and thank you so much for watching with us. And if you have questions for Mom or topic ideas that you would love to hear her wisdom on, please feel free to comment on the video or send us a message on Instagram. We'd love to hear that feedback and gives us ideas of what topics to cover. And so hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again next time.
So long.
Bye.